Hello everybody, it's Hater. Welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video, and we need to talk about storm grenades, because on Titans, they are an absolute must in any kind of Arc 3.0 build this season. If you haven't heard, or have been living under a rock, storm grenades, which previously were one of the worst arc grenades in the game, received a massive buff with Arc 3.0 in the form of fragments, and especially on the Titan, aspects, turning them from a mini cloud that slaps enemies with probably the same kinetic force as a 6-year-old with a sock'em bopper to your average anime MC about to, and I quote, surpass their limits. In today's build, we are going to be taking full advantage of Titan's capabilities and allow our storm grenades to deal a massive amount of damage and truly have infinite abilities. As always though, before we get into it, if you want to copy the build that is used in this video, there will be a dim loadout link down in the description. And if you enjoyed the video and found this build helpful, the best way to show support is by giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel so you'll never miss out on a brand new build video. It really helps out. Touch of Thunder combined with Spark of Magnitude and Heart of Inmost Light is going to be the bread and butter of this entire build. Everything past this point is meant to enhance what they already achieve. Touch of Thunder is going to be our main aspect and transform our storm grenade into a roaming thundercloud that tracks enemies and overall deal more damage. Spark of Magnitude will then amplify and synergize with Touch of Thunder and cause our storm grenade to stay on screen much longer, then again inevitably increase its overall damage. Heart of Inmost Light will be our exotic of choice. This is going to be the perfect match made in heaven here and allow us to not only increase storm grenades damage, but truly give us infinite abilities. Its exotic perk, Overflowing Light, cause abilities we use to amplify other abilities. This means that they have increased recharge rate, damage, and health if it's our barricade, combined with elemental well mods, and we'll almost never have a moment where we're waiting for cooldowns. Simply throw a grenade and win. For starters, when it comes to supers, I think we can all agree here that Thunder Crash is the creme de la creme when it comes to Titan supers. No other argument here. Use it, Feng die, look for next target. The whole slogan of Titan. For the class ability of choice, especially when it comes to Heart of Inmost Light spamming, the new Thruster class ability really amps up the quality of life for this build. Instead of laying down constant rally barricades or towering barricades that riddle the battlefield, you can just simply dash in a direction and gain the benefits of Heart of Inmost Light. Something I will note though is that rally barricade still has its uses when it comes to raid content, providing a solid boost to reload speed while behind it, combined with the super strong linear meta that we are currently in. Laying one during DPS, then quickly throwing a storm grenade is a great way to add on that extra little bit of damage we need. When it comes to melee abilities, I'd like to think that all three melee abilities are perfectly fine to use and are in the long run mostly preference with this build. It would be wrong though if I didn't mention Thunderclap. It is both my personal favorite and what I like to pair with this build. With it fully charged up and storm grenades zapping at the same time, we can deal some serious single target damage, just like you saw from the clip in the beginning of the video. Those were two master level unstoppable champions at the same time. For the other aspect that we'll be pairing with Touch of Thunder, it's going to be Knockout. It's not only going to act as a way to sustain ourselves, but synergize with the overall build. Since Heart of Inmost Light buffs our melee damage along with our grenades, Knockout is going to be perfect for this and increase our melee range and damage when we critically wound a target. When we defeat a target with this buff active, it will also start health regeneration. While I was farming 1600 lost sectors and needed to sustain myself, I looked no further than my trusty fist and punched my way back to full HP like a JoJo's protagonist. For our fragments, starting on the left, Spark of Shock, a staple to all arc builds, it causes our grenade to simply apply the jolt debuff. In a grenade focused build like we have set up now, this is going to proc almost all of the time and even amp up overall ad clear capabilities. Spark of Resistance is going to feed more into the Titan fantasy here and make us take reduced damage when we're near multiple enemies. Paired with 100 Resilience, and we become an unstoppable wall ready to punch the next thing in sight. Spark of Magnitude, like we talked about already, is going to make our storm grenade last longer. But the final fragment here, I personally enjoy using Spark of Discharge. This slot is mostly up to preference, but since I enjoy pairing a matching elemental weapon in my loadout, this adds on to the already large amount of ability energy we're gaining with this build. If this is something you don't want to use, then fear not, other fragments like Frequency, Focus, Recharge, or Amplitude are up for use. Moving now over to the armor, as you guys already know, we're going to need a few things. You're going to need at least your helmet, your arms, and your boots solar, your chest piece void, and your class item arc. I'll explain why here in a moment. For the stats that you want to prioritize, of course, 100 resilience. This means you take 40% reduced damage at all times. Next up, as much discipline as you can get. Ideally, you want to have around 8, but 9 and 10 are going to be even better. This means your grenade in a grenade focused build is going to be down to a 52-second timer. And then from this point, you can pretty much spec into whatever you want. In my build, I would dump all of my remaining stats into strength, ideally having 100 resilience, 100 discipline, and 100 strength. Starting off over at the helmet, the reason we have it as solar is for the mod Ashes to Assets. In a grenade focused build, we get kills with our grenades. This mod is going to refund those kills as super energy, meaning we can run pretty low intellect and still gain a lot of benefits from it. Harmonic Siphon is one of my personal favorites to use. It creates orbs of power whenever I get kills with a weapon matching my subclass typing. If you're not using an arc weapon in your build, you can simply take this mod off. For the mod at the very end though, Elemental Ordnance. As we talked about already, grenade focused build. Killing enemies with our grenade is going to spawn a arc elemental well. It's as simple as it can get. We'll be using these wells across the entire build to gain even more ability energy. Next up though, moving on over to the arms, the reason we want these as solar is for impact induction. Dealing damage with our melee attack is going to reduce our grenade cooldown. Since Heart of Inmost Light is refunding our melee energy, we might as well use that melee energy to gain even more grenade energy. Of course though, you can easily take this mod out and use it for champion mods if you need so. For the mod at the very end, Melee Wellmaker. Now when we get kills with our melee attack, it will also create elemental wells, feeding into the overall build and giving us 2 sources of elemental wells. Next up, over at the chest piece, the reason we want our Heart of Inmost Light as void is so we can use the seasonal mod, Thermoshock Plating, with a void resist mod. Together, this is going to allow us to take 25% reduced damage from all 3 element typings. For the mod at the very end though, because I'm using a arc weapon in my loadout, I'm pairing my build with Font of Might. This is going to allow my arc weapon, since we are using a arc subclass, to deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds whenever we pick up a arc elemental well. If you are not using any kind of arc weapon in your build, which I highly recommend you do so, you can swap this mod out for any more other well making mods like an extra melee well maker or an extra elemental ordnance. Next up though, moving on over to the boots. The reason we want these as solar is for recuperation, innervation, and bountiful wells. Because I'm creating orbs of power with my harmonic siphon and my helmet, I might as well take advantage of that and make them give me more than just super energy. With it, I'm able to gain HP and more grenade energy than what we already gain. Again, like I said earlier, if you're not using any weapons to match with your subclass typing and proc harmonic siphon for orbs of power, you can swap both of these mods out and use something else. The mod at the very end though, like I said, Bountiful Wells. This is going to allow all of the elemental well mods that we have currently equipped to create 1 extra elemental well than what they already create. In the case of this build, we're using Melee Wellmaker and Elemental Ordnance, meaning both of them are going to create 2 elemental wells instead of 1. If you happen to change out your Font of Might for an extra copy of one of them, then one of those will create 3 instead of 2. Finally though, moving down to the class item, the reason you want this as arc is for Well of Ions. Since we're synergizing with Heart of Inmost Light and amping up our melee damage, we can get even more damage by using a Well of Ions. With it, it'll allow our next melee attack to deal 30% more damage after we pick up an arc elemental well. Since there really isn't any more mods we can pair with this build, this is the best option overall. If you don't like it, you can use Seeking Wells for quality of life. But the very main mod in general that we're using in our class item is Lightning Strikes Twice. After we throw an arc grenade, which our build is focused around, it will give us increased grenade recharge rate for a short time. Arc Final Blows will then extend this duration. This buff is going to stack right on top of Heart of Inmost Light and really give us an endless supply of arc grenades to throw. Later on down the road though, this mod will eventually go away. When it does, you can just trade this out for anything in this slot. The build itself will function perfectly fine just without it, unless Bungie nerfs it. Overall though, that is going to be the build for today's video. If you guys have any questions about the build or you enjoy the build, let me know down in the comment section, or you can come ask me over at my Twitch where I stream Destiny 2. I really feel like storm grenades are one of the best grenades in the game right now, and I don't see Bungie nerfing them anytime soon. If they do though, what do you guys think Bungie will do to them? I think they'll just lower the overall damage. Either way though, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Bye bye.